An attorney has a responsibility to create an attorney-client relationship. I guess how people define that relationship differs. For me, an attorney-client relationship means that I have my client's back. It means that I understand their case. If I email my client and I'm like, hey, it's time to apply for your work card, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you've not heard from me. I've been going through something. I feel like it's my job to be like, hey, I have 30 minutes on Tuesday. Do you want to talk about what you've been going through? On the other end, I'm a human being. What if my client is depressed? What if my client is fighting cancer?
Welcome to the Immigrant Podcast. Today at TIP, we have the pleasure of having Aisha Nanyanzi. She is an attorney by profession, an immigrant from Uganda. Miss Aisha, welcome to the podcast.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so very quickly, let's delve into it. Tell us why the US and why an attorney?
That's a loaded question. Why the US? I just like to think that the US chose me as opposed to me choosing it. And I also like to think that the legal profession chose me as opposed to me choosing it. I cannot tell you that I woke up and planned to be an attorney. I was inspired. And along the way, I just decided that I wanted to do more. I arrived in the US in 2014. When I did, I started exploring my immigration journey. I had an immigration attorney who I worked with. He was super helpful. He helped me understand the process really, really well. I was extremely grateful to have him by my side. And I guess he kind of thought I was an easier client to work with. He liked the way I handled my case, and he offered me a job after we completed my case. He offered me a job as his assistant. I had no legal background whatsoever, so I learned on the job. I did everything that he told me. I started to learn everything. Again, it was an immigration law firm. I was a little bit familiar with one of the processes because I had been on the other end as a client, as an applicant. And as I did more of the work as his legal assistant, I realized that I loved what I was doing. I wanted to do more, and the only way for me to do more was to go to law school and actually get my license and start representing people as an attorney. So that's what I did.
So, when you say the US chose you, could you really go back to that place where you felt the US chose you and really share your personal journey through the US immigration system? How you struggled to become a legal citizen and eventually how you worked your way through school. What are some of the things you went through that would be considered hurdles in the immigration system and in becoming a US citizen?
I will say, and I think that given my experience working in this field and the time that I entered the US, it might be a little bit unfair for me to call what I went through hurdles because things are much worse right now. When I entered, the processing times were a little bit shorter, and some of the processes in system were working just fine. Things could get faster when you asked for them, and it feels a little bit like everything is a mess right now. So I think if I call what I went through hurdles, someone out there listening, going through something much worse, might think, this lady is kidding. But that being said, I did have an attorney by my side who explained everything to me, and I asked a lot of questions. Luckily, when I was going through my immigration system, there was no TikTok. So when I needed answers, I went to my attorney. I didn't go to TikTok. So that made things a
Are you
little
on
bit
TikTok, by the way?
right now. Not yet, but I'm planning to join.
Okay. All right.
But
Okay.
not yet. But so the point is, I did have hurdles, yes. And for me, the hurdles were my personal situation. When I first moved here in 2014, I left my daughter back in Uganda. I missed my daughter a lot. And the system was not moving fast enough for her to come and join me anytime soon. I had to be away from her for a period of about 3 years before she could come and join me here. So we had to go through processes because we had to make sure she gets here. We had to take extra steps. We had to contact members of Congress to make sure that we could.
What was that separation like?
The separation was, it was tough. It was tough. When I left Uganda, my daughter was only 3 years old. So, and I told her, hey, I'm gonna come back and get you. So anytime I called her on the phone, she said, you said you're gonna get me. Why aren't you coming to get me? And over time, the promises to her became meaningless, like extremely meaningless. That sometimes I would call and ask to speak with her. She would just hold the phone, say, hi, mommy, bye, mommy, and just go. Now, she's a child. She doesn't know what she's doing. But as a mother, that breaks your heart. It really does.
Yes.
You're like, it is creating this separation between you and your child. Your child gets to you, and you have to grow with them. You have to learn who they are all over again because you didn't raise them. And this is the reality for a lot of immigrants.
Yes.
This is the reality for a lot of immigrant families. I have seen marriages break down because of how long the entire system is taking. Someone comes here, they have to wait 8 years for an asylum interview. Their spouse back home is like, I'm not waiting. I'm gonna move on. And a lot of things can happen with passage of time. Distance breaks down marriages. Maybe you're here and you've been given work authorization. You make a couple $100 a week. If you send those dollars back to your family in Africa, it's a lot of money. But there are things that money can't make up for. Money will not make up for if you lost your mother or your child and were not able to travel to bury them.
So
Money
if
cannot
an
make up
immigrant
for
is
that.
in the US and is trying to make up time, especially now that the system is overloaded, how would you help them? Or if you had 5 minutes before you boarded a plane and that's all you needed to give somebody a nugget so that they can figure out how to work through the system to accelerate their issues. And I know there's a myriad of different cases and how they're solved through the immigration system. But
Yeah.
what are some of the commonalities that immigrants can jump on very quickly, knowing they do not have money to pay for an attorney, but they can start moving things forward for themselves?
I was going to say, if you have an attorney, speak with one because they know these things. Explain your situation to them. Tell them, hey, look, my family is not safe back home. Hey, look, my child is sick. They have leukemia. Then they can tell you what needs to happen because the thing that happens, you hire an attorney, okay? They're not going to reach out to you because there is no update in your case. And then you don't feel like you can tell them these things because they are not related to your case. But they are. They are related to your case because they are related to your life. So the first thing is, if you have an attorney, speak with one. If you don't have an attorney and you're doing everything yourself, then you have other options available to you. Reach out to your senator. Ask them to intervene. Ask them for help. Tell them, hey, I'm your constituent. This is what's going on. Some senators have immigration departments in their offices. Speak to someone. Like, you need to be able to understand that there are people out there who are waiting for you to ask. But no one is going to help you if you do not ask. And some people are afraid to ask. But the worst that can possibly happen is they'll say no. It doesn't leave you in a worse situation. It doesn't leave you in a better situation, but at least you ask. I mean, there are situations where you can ask the office with jurisdiction over your case. Tell them there is this, there is this thing happening. Can you please expedite my case? There are things where people can apply for emergency advance parole documents. Just show up with their tickets, proof of why they want to travel in emergency, situations, and they'll be they'll be given permission to travel and then return. So you just need to kind of educate yourself. You need to speak to people, but you need to speak to people who know what they're talking about. You cannot be speaking to your friend who did this thing in like 2005 and we're in 2024 and they'll tell you, yeah, in 2005 I did that. Yeah, that's true. I don't dispute it, but a lot has changed.
Yeah.
What if that is not the law anymore? The laws change, the situations change. Clients come to you all the time and they're like, yeah, I have my friend who is in that same exact situation. There is no such thing as same exact situation. Situations differ.
Right.
There are a lot of things that play into that same exact situations that make someone's case more unique than yours. So I think you need to speak to someone, but you need to speak to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Obviously, there's been a lot of changes in the immigration process in the last couple of years. So how are you, when you speak to clients or you speak to groups of people who are migrants and they're looking for ways to get to either stabilization or they're looking to eventually apply for a process to which they can become citizens, how are you walking them through the changes in the new policies?
So again, as far as the changes in the new policies, for me, for my clients, and I have this in my communication policy that I send to my clients as soon as they hire me, and I keep telling them that, hey, I'm constantly monitoring the changes, and if there is a change that affects your case, whether it affects your case negatively or positively, I'm going to reach out to you and tell you that, hey, there is this change, it affects your case in this way, and this is what we have to do. Now, sometimes they bring up policies that affect clients' cases negatively, and then they start litigating those policies immediately. Like a non-profit sues the government for bringing out that policy, and it stays in litigation. So maybe in the future, after all that litigation, they're going to lift it. It's not going to get into it's a policy that's not going to happen. It will stop happening. And I keep telling my clients these things because sometimes people will see a bill and then they panic. They're like, oh, this senator said that there was this bill that could benefit me. I'm like, it's just a bill. It's not a law.
Right.
Before they pass it, it's not a law. So it's just a bill. So you just have to leave it at that. When it becomes law, then I'll come back to you and tell you, okay, now this is the law and this is how it affects your case. Sometimes these policies are really good for your clients and you have to jump on them before the government sues to undo those policies. So you just kind of have to constantly monitor, which means you have to have some sort of special relationship with your client's cases. You might have 100 cases, but you need to kind of understand, okay, this case is about this case is about that, so that once those policies come out, you can tell off the top of your head, oh, this client, because otherwise I'm just going to have to go and look at one case, each case in itself. Like, oh, this case, oh no, this case, oh no. But if you know your clients, if you create a relationship with your clients, then it kind of helps you understand off the top of your head who might be affected.
Is it an attorney's responsibility to create that relationship, or is it in your case, the client's responsibility to build a relationship with you?
An attorney has a responsibility to create an attorney-client relationship. Now, I guess how people define that relationship differs. For me, an attorney-client relationship means that I have my client's back. It means that I understand their case. It means that if a client emails me and tells me, if I email my client and I'm like, hey, it's time to apply for your work card, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you've not heard from me, I've been going through something. I feel like it's my job to be like, hey, I have 30 minutes on Tuesday. Do you want to talk about what you've been going through? Because they might not even know that maybe what they're going through is just some personal stuff that doesn't affect their case in any way. But maybe it affects their case. But on the other end, I'm a human being. What if my client is depressed and I know a therapist I can refer them to who can speak with them free of charge? What if my client is fighting cancer and I know some resources where they help immigrants? What if my client is fighting with something more personal and I know resources where I can get them help? And for me, that's what an attorney-client relationship is. I want to know who I'm working with. They don't have to know me, and that's okay. But I need to know them. I need to understand, is there something going on that is going to affect their case? Because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I don't want my client to commit suicide and I hear it for the first time. If I could have done something to intervene. So I feel like you need to know your client. You need to understand them. It also helps you in preparation. If my client has a hearing and I have worked with them closely, then I know their weaknesses and I know how to strategize to help them win, because I have grown to learn them. I have understood them. My client will be like, I can speak English, and I'll be like, for the time I worked with you, you need an interpreter. We need to find one. It's the best thing for your case. It's just small things like that. It's just things where sometimes you don't just have to take the client at their word. You have to be like, I hear you, I believe you, I know why you feel the way you feel, but I think this is the best thing for you.
Miss Aisha, there's almost probably more than 10.5 million unauthorized immigrants in the US. Do you think there's a path for them towards citizenship?
I don't know what unauthorized means. I know people throw that word around.
Okay,
I
so
know
give us the
people
legal
throw.
interpretation of what that's supposed to be.
No, it's. I mean, like, what do you mean by unauthorized? I mean, if someone has a pending asylum,
For me, it's somebody
okay,
who does not have a legal status into the US. And I don't know if that explains exactly what I mean. It's somebody who's here and the system considers them not a legal citizen.
yeah, they're not a legal citizen, but they could have a green card.
Okay.
And they're not a legal citizen, but they could have asylee status. They're non-citizens, but they have asylee status. They are
Okay.
non-citizens, but maybe they're here on an H-1B visa working. So I think people throw the word unauthorized or illegal immigrants around a lot.
Yes.
But I think that most people have authorization.
Part of the reason why we do that is to evoke emotion.
Yeah,
I believe that. But also there's so many categories, if I may, of what anyone's status can be. And so when you're boiling it all into one basket, per se,
yep.
what would be the terms to use?
I think if we say non-citizens, I think non-citizens is fair. I think foreign nationals is fair. Now, as to how you want to create categories for those, is, they are non-US citizens, but they are people who are permanent residents because they have green cards.
Yes.
There are people who are asylees because they were granted asylum. Then there are people who have pending asylum applications because they are authorized to stay here until a decision is made. A final decision is made on their asylum application. They're not here illegally. The government knows they're here, but they're here for a reason. Then there are people who are here on H-1Bs because there is a US company that wants them to work. There are people who are here on student visas. All these people are non-citizens,
Yes,
but it doesn't really make them illegal.
of course.
Now, granted, there are people who are just here and there is nothing going on. They overstayed their visa, they have no applications pending, they are not authorized to be here. There are people like that too. But back to your question of whether there is a path for these people, there are different paths for different people depending on their situation, which again, you just have to talk to someone and kind of understand. Okay, are you married to a US citizen? Maybe your spouse can petition for you, but before your spouse petitions for you, will your application be approved for reasons A, B, C, D? Okay, maybe you are married and the marriage fell apart, so you're applying for VAWA. Maybe you were trafficked, which is a broad term, and you can get a T visa. Maybe you are a victim of a crime and you help the police and you can get a U visa. Maybe you are afraid to go back to your country and you can apply for asylum. Maybe you're exceptional and you can apply for, all sorts of employment based visas. Maybe, your employer likes you and they're going to petition for you. So, are there paths? Yes, but it depends on every individual's unique situation. Now, are there people who you speak with and there is absolutely no path for them? Yes. There are people you will speak with and you will tell them the best thing you can possibly do is to keep a low profile, avoid immigration, and avoid, any sort of authorities because,
Isn't
yes,
that illegal advice to offer as an attorney?
I don't think so. I don't think it is. I'm not telling someone that, I'm not telling someone that, hey, break the law. I'm just telling you to keep a low profile. Like if a client comes to
Why
me,
wouldn't you ask them to go back to their country of origin then?
they are not, and they did not come to ask me about that. I do not tell, I answer people. They come to me because they want to understand their immigration options in the US. And I explain them.
So let's create a hypothetical situation, right? Because I want to dig deep into this, right? So let's create a hypothetical situation. I walk into your office. I am not in legal status, if that would be a better
Mhm.
term to put. I have overstayed
Okay.
my visa, and I want to stay. So
And then my
help
question
me
is,
help me
Martin, why do
figure
you
out
want to
how do I
stay?
stay. Yes. So I want to stay because I don't want to probably go back to where I came from.
Why?
So my reason is what's gonna determine.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Your reason is what determines what. You come to me and you're like, I don't want to return to Kenya. I'm like, why? That's your home. And then you're like, hey, look, when I was in Kenya, I said some really shitty political stuff and the government is looking for me. And I'm like, huh,
We
that
can find a
sounds like a
path for you.
political opinion. Let's dig deeper,
Right.
you know? Or you tell me, hey, I don't want to return to Kenya because I was here on a student visa. I've been here for the last 3 years. I'm done with school. I met my fiance. She's a US citizen. We have a kid together. We want to get married. And I'm like, that sounds like a genuine relationship to me. If you get married, your US citizen fiance can file a petition for you and you can stay here on a green card. So it really depends on why someone wants to stay.
I'll tell you why
Yeah.
I jumped into that dark hole is because most people avoid doing things because of what they do not know, and the fear of
Okay.
asking questions because, like you said earlier, maybe you want to keep a low profile, and most people do have a path toward citizenship. It may be a long
Yeah.
path, but there is a path. But because
Yeah.
they've been advised by family members, they've been advised by attorneys who are not practicing right, they've been advised by friends or whoever it is, they decide maybe keeping a low profile and surviving because so and so's done it for the last 15, 20 years is the right thing to do, not realizing that their story in the right hands can give them a path to where they want to go. And so, how do
Exactly.
you speak to people and give them a hope that there's always a path toward citizenship in the US as long as you're working in the system?
So I mean, this is what I always tell people. I always tell people, first of all, speak with an attorney. Okay, go look on Google, find an attorney. They tell you they practice in Arizona. They tell you they're licensed in Arizona. Go and check on the State Bar of Arizona. Look that they're there. Okay, and they're actual attorneys. Look at their reviews or their ratings, or maybe it's an attorney who helped your friend or your neighbor or your workmate, whatever. Pay the consultation fee, whatever it is, and ask all your questions. You don't have to hire the attorney. You having a consultation with an attorney does not mean you have to hire them after you speak with them. But then you're going to pay $200, $300, $400 to speak with someone and leave that conversation more informed, more aware of what your options are. Now, what you do with that information is entirely up to you. If you choose to act on it, or if you're like, you know what, this is too much work, I'm not going to do it. That is entirely up to you. But speak with someone and understand your options. And then there are some processes that you can do yourself, okay? You can file your own marriage case as long as there are no issues. People do it all the time. I am not one of those attorneys who are like, you cannot absolutely do this. You need me. No, you don't. You can do it yourself. But at least speak to someone who can tell you that, given your situation, who will vet you for all the possible issues that could come up. And after you speak with them and they're like, yeah, I don't see any issues coming up, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to pay this lady $6,000 to file my marriage case. I can do this myself. Then go do it. But at least you know.
Very good. So there's a lot of people who are listening to what you're saying. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, so that you can walk them through the process, how can they get a hold of you?
People can look me up. My company is AKN Immigration. They can go to aknimmigration.com. All the information about me is there. All the information about my office is there. So yeah, they can. I'm also on Instagram. But mostly the best way to reach out to me is go to my website. You can either call my office. There is someone who will answer the call 24/7, or you can just go and book through the website.
What's your Instagram
Yeah, we
handle?
can have a conversation. It's AKN Immigration.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so I know you did not want to talk about politics, but I can't help myself. We got to jump into politics. So, it's 2024
It's
is.
so theatrical.
I agree with you. It is, right? And this is why we talk about it, because it's theatrical. I find it really interesting that, I've been in the US for over 20 years, and each election year we talk about immigration, and there's all these promises from politicians, both sides of the aisle, right? Independents included, if there's been anybody who was significant, right? And so it's promises of fixing the immigration process. Why is it that politicians do not? Let me back up. I back to say that I know why politicians make promises and don't keep them. That I do understand, right? But why do politicians say they want to work on the immigration process? We all know how necessary it is to work on, yet they do not allocate resources to get this done in the US.
Have you realized that they typically do that closer to the elections?
I have.
Well, then you have your answer. They want that vote. And I think for me, that's really what pisses me off with politics when it comes to immigration. You make all these promises, you talk about how you're going to help immigrants, you want their vote. Like, let's say I came here, and I'm not a US citizen, but I had a child who is a US citizen, and they can't file for me yet because they're not 21, but they're 18, so they can vote. So my daughter hears, the presidential candidate saying, yeah, I'm going to fix the immigration system. My daughter is going to want to vote for this person. Definitely, because they're like, oh, You know what? Then my mom gets a path. And then what happens after you vote them? They start, fighting about things that don't even matter. They start discussing other issues until the next election cycle when they want to talk about, oh, yeah, again, that vote. So people are always,
This goes back to
go
the
ahead.
American population, right? The people who have the voting right. That we're not holding accountable our electorate. We are not educating ourselves on false promises per se. And so, as an attorney who's got plenty of experience in immigration, when you speak to diverse groups of people about the immigration process in the US, are you ever touching on elections and how they need to educate themselves so that they can start holding their political representatives accountable to the immigration process?
So one, my clients and I, again, typically when my clients are talking to me, they are more worried about their status than the politics of this country. Believe me. So they have bigger things going on in their lives. Um, but again, that's really the thing. And when I talk about how people are making promises, keep in mind, there are people who promise to make immigration worse off because they think that that's what's going to resonate with their voters. So there are people like that too. But yeah, we need to hold our senators like accountable. Like for me, that's why for me it's always important. If my client comes to me with a situation where I feel like I need to reach out to their senator, I'm going to reach out to them, especially if it's one of those who are like, oh yeah, we need to do all these things for immigrants. Well, here is your shot. Your constituent is having this situation. How are you going to help us? And again, just keep in mind though, the other reason I really do not speak with my clients about these politics is the people I'm speaking with, and they can't vote. They're not U.S. citizens, so they're not voters. They're not voting for these people. So it is a little bit tricky to ask someone like that to hold their person accountable. They have to go through their communities. They have to go through their neighbors who are US citizens. They have to go through their relatives who are US citizens. But yeah, should people hold? It's one of those things. It takes a village. If you're worried about your neighbor being deported and you can vote, then vote. And that's really it. You cannot sit back and wait for when it's going to affect you, for when the policies affect you.
At one time, you were an immigrant who was on a not too sure path. How did you deal emotionally with that and kept yourself somber so that you could eventually get to your end result?
For me, mostly what I did a lot of, I worked. I worked a lot. At some point, I worked 3 jobs to distract myself, to not think about my immigration status because it was depressing me. But honestly, the other thing that I did is I asked my lawyer a lot of questions. I was one of those clients. I was one of those clients who was like, okay, I kind of tried to think about scenarios in my head. What if this doesn't work? But then what other options do I have? But then how does that option play out? I kind of tried to educate myself through my attorney because I knew I could go to Google and find some of this information, but you know how Google works.
Yes.
If I go to Google and tell them I have a headache, they're going to tell me that is cancer and you need to write your will. Okay? So I would rather, for me, it was more important to me that I'm like, ask my lawyer who knows my exact situation, who knows the facts of my case, and I feel like they would be in a better position rather than typing something generic in Google and then Google coming and telling me, I need you to pack your bags because if you don't, ICE will be at your door and it will not be good.
Talking
So
about
I
technology,
educated myself.
how has technology changed the way immigration is practiced, and how does it benefit your clients now? And do you see a path where AI may change the way immigration law is administered or is approached? And would that, in most cases, help with reducing cost and creating efficiency?
I mean, I am not tech savvy, so I don't I don't know how to answer that question. But this is what I can tell you because I've had the conversation about AI
Right.
a lot, and I've tried to educate myself, and I have used a little bit of it here and there, not for my cases because I think I trust to get the law from an actual case than from AI, and we have seen situations. Where attorneys have cited to bogus cases that do not exist because they used AI. So, but is technology or will technology change the way we do things? Probably yes. I think it will. I think that when I started my law firm, because of technology, it helped me automate a lot. I was able to automate a lot of things. I was able to cut down on my costs for a lot of things. I was able to make my clients' life easier um, through the use of technology. I can just send them a link and tell them, hey, can you answer these questions for me? But then the questions will auto populate in their forms. So for me, that saves 2 hours of me sitting with the client in a meeting trying to, answer these questions. I mean, just think about Zoom or, these video chats. You and I are in different states right now. So my client doesn't have to take the day off to have a meeting with me. My client can just sit back during their lunch break and meet with me for an hour, 30 minutes, and they can go back to work. So, yeah, it has changed the way we practice law. Now, do I think that we are at a point where AI will be helped to represent my client in court? No, not yet.
Okay. So, what is the future of immigration law? Where do you see U.S. immigration law heading, and in the next 5 to 10 years? And what should potential immigrants be aware of?
Um, if you ask an attorney and they tell you they see the future of immigration in the next 5, 10 years, I don't know. I don't know where they would be getting that because. So here is the thing: the way I see it, the laws change a lot, daily, weekly, monthly. You know, there are things that have been tried, tested. There are things that we can put statistics to. We have seen more immigrants move to Canada from the US because their immigration laws are better than ours. Okay? We have seen people say, I just want to go to the US, get the education, and leave. There's statistics for that to back that up. Now, do we know how immigration law is going to play out in the last 5, 10 years? No, we don't, because the people in charge of that are making false promises. So, when it comes to immigration, especially when it's playing, in play with politics, I always prefer to believe something when I see it. So it's just one of those things. I prefer to be like, oh, you said you're gonna do that. You know what? We'll see. And then when they see it, I'm pleasantly surprised. And you know what? I am happy to be wrong. So I think there is going to be a lot of changes, but I don't think that we can tell whether or not, these changes will be better or worse off for the people today.
When you're speaking with your clients, are you ever having a conversation on cultural integration in regards to their new immigration status?
I am a lot. I always try to explain to my clients a lot of things in so many different ways. I come from Africa, I come from East Africa like you, so there are things that I can tell you and make sense to you. Say my client is wants to file a marriage-based green card, and I'm trying to explain to them while having a joint bank account is important, or joint assets, because I mean people don't really do that in Africa. the woman makes some money, the man makes some money, the man takes care of the family, but that's really it. People don't want joint stuff. I don't want.
That's a
People
conversation for
don't do
another
that.
day, right?
Yeah, people don't really like take photos like that. I mean, other than when they're taking them for Instagram or for Facebook or, but like I'm trying to show people why these things are important. So I'm like, hey, I get it. I get what you're saying, okay? But where we are, given the law, this is important because of this. I mean, it's like sometimes I speak to young men or young women from, Africa or from whatever country. I'm like, hey, I get it. Where you're coming from, that might be okay. But in the US, that is a crime. That could be a crime. That is not okay because of the different cultures. And the truth of the matter is, when you come here, you have to respect the law. So you have to respect the laws of the land. You cannot say, you know what, when I'm driving, when I'm walking by down in Nairobi and the Bajaji guy, spanks me, that is okay. I'll just walk away. Don't do that here. You can't just touch people here. You can't just have sex with someone just because they are your wife. They have to consent to it. So, like, those are conversations you need to have with people sometimes. Sometimes people are like, I had two wives in, Ghana. Why can't I bring them both? Polygamy is not legal here.
It is in
So,
certain
yeah,
states,
you can
though.
only. Well, it is in certain states, but for immigration purposes,
It is.
you know like,
That's
yeah,
understandable.
for immigration, you're not gonna bring both of your wives. And again, we're really talking about immigration here. Like, you're not gonna bring both of your wives. So in fact, as far as immigration is concerned, they will only recognize the first marriage, because you are not free to marry when you got into the second marriage. So, I mean, like, those are things you need to explain to people. You're like, no, you can bring all your kids that you had with these two, three women, but yeah, unfortunately, the other two are just gonna have to stay in Ghana.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Again, Miss Aisha, where can people find you online and social media?
Yeah, it's AKN Immigration. My website is aknimmigration.com, and my Instagram is AKN Immigration.
Very, very good, very good. We really, really, really do appreciate your time. You've given us plenty to think about and ways to be able to have conversations within ourselves as immigrants. That way we can find the right way to find the correct path toward citizenship in the US. Miss Aisha, we really, truly, truly appreciate your help. Hey, the next time I'm in Arizona, we would like to stop by and hopefully we can have another conversation.
You have my contact, so just let me know, reach out to me. And it's really, I'm really glad that you could have me. I'm really happy that, and honored, that you could have me. So thank you very much as well, Martin.
Thank you so very much. Enjoy your day. Bye bye.